Hey everyone, Michael here from FatToFit, and so now that I've kind of gotten that first awkward introductory video out of the way, in this video today I wanted to it's kind of my weight loss transformation video. I'm thinking of splitting it into maybe 2 videos rather than just the one. I'll see how I'll go. But basically in this video I just wanted to go over my life up to this point, how being overweight has kind of affected my life and what I've gone through to get to where I am today. And so I just wanted to start off with my earlier life and how the weight kind of affected me. Sorry if I'm looking down a bit, I've just got some notes here on my phone. And so let's get started. So basically I want to talk about how I went from this to this. Sorry, I always wanted to do that on camera. But starting from the start, so basically I'll pop up pictures of how I looked over the years. And so really I was an overweight kid pretty much majority of my lifetime. In primary school, primary school, I was a bit chubby, but I wouldn't call myself obese or anything like that in primary school, as you can see from the photo. So I had the chubby face and stuff like that. But it really started to become noticeable when I moved into high school and I was gaining more and more weight. There's actually a bit of a funny story where I really first noticed myself being overweight in high school, and that was in year 7 or year 8 PE. In our school we used to do this thing where in PE class once a year they check things like our height and our weight and stuff like that. And so I remember we had to give permission for them to check our weight on scales in the school nurse's office. And so I remember getting the form and it had boxes to tick if they're allowed to take our height. I ticked that one. And then there was another box that asked if they were allowed to check our weight, because they used it for data analysis and things like that. And so I remember not ticking that box, but it also involved answering a questionnaire in class with our teacher supervising us. And so I remember each one of my classmates was being called up to go and get their weight checked, and I knew I didn't tick that box to check my weight, so I really didn't want to check my weight. But then my teacher called my name to go up next to check my height and weight, and obviously the teacher hasn't really checked through the form, so they haven't realised that I didn't check the box. And so I go and check my weight, and I remember not even wanting to look at the scales because I knew I was the biggest in my class. I was one of the biggest in my year level in terms of weight, and so I didn't really want to check my weight, but I went in and I checked. I can't remember the exact number, but I remember in year 7, year 8, so I was around 13, 14 years old, I was already I'm pretty sure in the 90s, in the kilos, 90 kilos. Something which I didn't want to really believe. Actually, I think I may have been even close to the 100, I'm not sure, although that seems a little steep, but I was up there in terms of weight, and I knew it and everybody else knew I was one of the biggest kids. So that was one of the first events in high school where I really started to take notice of my weight, and then kind of as each year went on, the weight kept increasing and increasing. I didn't really look at the scales often. I'd go years without looking at the scales, but you could tell from photos I'll pop up on the screen and things like that I was gaining the weight. What contributed to this probably was that I was a constant gamer. So I was playing games. I was a big RuneScaper throughout, from about grade 5, grade 6, my friend introduced me to RuneScape, till all the way through high school I was a RuneScaper. That game I'd be playing anywhere from 3 to 4 hours to up to 10, 11 hours on the weekends or during the holidays. So I really spent a lot of time playing that game. It's not the game's fault really that I was becoming morbidly obese. It was my own fault spending so much time on the game. But I suppose with the gaming and all that, I didn't really move much, I didn't really exercise much. I was a straight A student, and I still am a straight A student, so I've always had a very strong focus on my schooling, which is something that has persisted with me throughout the years. And so I always found that focusing more on my brain, my intelligence, was kind of a way of offsetting my weight problem in some twisted way. And so I thought by being smart, my weight didn't really matter. And that's something that persisted right up until I started to decide to lose weight. And so there were times throughout high school where the weight seemed to have been getting better. So in year 9, 9th grade, when I was 15, I actually went to a leadership camp / school for 9 weeks, where we did lots of outdoors activities and team activities and stuff like that. And so when I came back from that, I had actually lost quite a bit of weight. I'll pop a picture up if I can find one. And so after that, I had lost quite a bit of weight, but as soon as I got home, I gained it all back and then some. And then the weight just kept going up and up and up after that. Let's see. When I was at the end of year 9, start of year 10, so when I was about 15 going on 16, I did really want to start to lose weight. I was sick of it. I was sick of being the overweight, obese, fat kid that the kid in the school who was the biggest, in my year level, who was the biggest, and just being overweight in general, it really weighs you down. And so when I got to the school holidays around December, January of that year before I turned 16, I decided to make one of the first changes, and that was to cut out Coke. I was a heavy Coke drinker. I was at least on 10 cans of Coke a day, even more. My mum would come into my room and I'd actually have the cans of Coke stacked on my desk or on the TV. They'd form a pyramid. That's how much Coke I was drinking per day. And so not only was that negatively affecting my weight, but other things, my teeth were rotting, and the amount of sugar I was drinking just from Coke alone, not to mention all the food I was eating. And so I decided to give up Coke, scrap that. It was hard for the first few days, but I eventually got over it. And even to this day, I have not had one sip of soft drink in the past 5 years, which I'm very proud of. Soft drink was a major problem for me, so I cut that out. And also at the same time, my aunt, she lived 5-minute walk away from us down the road, and she had this old home gym set just with the lat pull downs, the leg extensions and some weights and things like that. And so I decided every day I'd walk to her house. 5-10 minute walk it would take me. I'd walk to her house, I'd do maybe an hour with the weights, and then I'd do some exercise on her treadmill or her spin bike, and then I'd walk home. I haven't really changed my diet at all. My diet was still terrible. I was still eating junk food pretty much for breakfast, lunch and dinner and all the snacks in between. But I cut out Coke and I had started going to my aunt's, so I started that exercising. But then as soon as school started again, I gave it up. The Coke, stopping the Coke, that kept with me, but the exercising, that kind of stopped once school started again. And then I tried the same thing the following holidays, and then it stopped once again. School started, as I always placed a higher importance on school than over kind of exercising and my health. And so I did stop the Coke drinking, which was a big calorie contributor to me, so that was the main thing. My next problem, every year I tried to stop a food that I was constantly eating, so my next problem was Nutella. I love Nutella, I still love Nutella. I was having 2 to 3 Nutella sandwiches every day, normally at school or when I got home from school. And so I decided, following holidays, that's it, I'm giving up Nutella, and I gave that up. I still enjoy Nutella every now and then, but I gave up constantly eating it on a daily basis. So yeah, the Nutella. And then as I started moving into my VCE, so my last 2 years of high school, year 11 and year 12, that's when I really started to put on a lot more weight. I was easily in the hundreds by now, or even maybe a bit higher, in the low 100s, 110s in terms of kilos. And so the weight just kept going on. And of course, when you enter your last 2 years of high school, that studying really ramps up. And so I focused even more time on my studying. Any spare time I had, I'd spend gaming on RuneScape or watching TV or stuff like that. I barely did any exercise or anything like that. And so it really started to get worse and worse and worse. Just toward the end of high school, so my final exams, I actually, for the 3 months, so 2 and a half months before my exams and during my whole exam period, I actually went to live with my grandmother just so I could focus on my studies, because I had quite a noisy household. I've got a few sisters and a brother and my parents, and so it just wasn't a good environment to study. So my grandmother and grandfather, they lived around the corner from us, a 5-minute walk, and so they had a spare room, so I decided to live with them. But the issue was, while focusing on my studies there, my grandmother, she decided to do all my cooking for me. And of course, she'd cook me huge portion sizes. Like, she'd make this chicken soup, she'd have the normal bowl for her and my grandfather, and then for me, she'd give me a salad bowl full of just the soup with the chicken and everything. She'd make me bacon and egg sandwiches for breakfast. For lunch, she'd give me another whole plate. And so all of this just culminated in me I gained a lot of weight over that period, 2 to 3 months. And so when I finally finished my exams, I went back home. I'd seen how much I had gained. I stepped on the scales at about 120 kilos. I was at 120 kilos, yeah, which is about 260 pounds. And I'm not exactly a tall guy, I'm 5'7", so about 170 centimeters. And so that was a lot of weight. I had a BMI, body mass index greater than 40, greater than 45. I was morbidly obese. And so after finishing, so that was kind of the whole story about how I gained weight and how things kind of built up over the years. And then after I finished my exams, here in Australia, in Melbourne, we get 3 months holidays before university started. And so I remember getting my year 12 mark. I'd gotten the highest out of all the guys in my year level. So I'd done pretty well, so I knew I was going to get into my course. And that was in about December. In December, we found that out. And so after that, I'm like, what am I going to do now for the next few months for the holidays? There's always the gaming, there's always RuneScape, watching TV, relaxing. And then I remember one morning, just waking up, I just woke up, it was just a random day, can't remember what day it was, but I just woke up and I'm like, it clicked in my head that I want to lose weight. So with losing weight, no one can force you to do it. If it doesn't click in your own head, you're not going to do it. You might start, but you won't stick with it. So there has to be that click, that trigger in your head. It can be anything. For me, it was just waking up and looking in the mirror and deciding that today I'm going to start losing weight. And so that's what I did. I started losing weight. I think this video is getting a bit too long, so I might leave my journey, what I've been doing over the past few years to actually lose weight, in the next video. But if you've stuck around for this long, listening to me telling my story, thanks. Please, if you want to hear more, please hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Instagram. I post pictures almost every day, just general posing shots and food and stuff like that. But I'll make sure I'll get up another video of what I've been doing over the past few years. So thank you for watching the video and see you later.